Welcome to Brands on Tap, the podcast where we discuss all things brand related.
So whether you're a business owner, industry expert, or simply interested, this podcast is for you.
Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of Brands on Tap, and this one's about creative sector secrets, and very lucky to have a fantastic guest today, a guy called Mark Vallance, and I won't tell you too much about him yet. I'll let him introduce himself. But yeah, basically we're going to delve into the do's and don'ts really about what it's like really to own a creative agency, and the pitfalls and the positives that you might encounter along the way. So Mark, introduce yourself.
That was quite an introduction. That's fantastic. So my name's Mark. I'm the creative director of DuoDot. We weren't formerly. This is a brand new business. We used to have another business called Frankman Design, as you know, which sadly went last year. But I can follow up a little bit more on that soon. But yeah, we're still doing exactly what we have always done. Myself, mostly design. I've got Maggie, who's the marketing side of the business.
Yep.
And we also offer web. So our main areas of business are design, marketing, and web, covering what you kind of expect really from a design and marketing agency.
Yep.
And yes, we've been going for nearly a year. That sounds bad, doesn't it?
Including Frankman though?
Including Frankman would have been 20 years on December. That's the gutting
So you're growing
thing
a
about
tooth
that.
just like me then?
Yes, yeah, totally, yeah. Oh, and that's just obviously our business point of view. But previously for that, I've been in this career since about 1992.
Wow, yeah.
Scary.
Yeah, similar time to me, to be fair.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So a long time.
Very long time. Would you like to know what I started?
Mention a bit about your background. Great.
Well, my background, I've always been into design.
Yep.
Illustration was the thing that got me into
Did you go to college
design.
or apprenticeship or just fall into the job or?
Well, I always remember my careers advisor said to me, "What do you want to do?"
Yeah.
And I said to him, "All I want to do is just draw cartoons," and that was it.
Which you're very good at, I have to say. Very, very good at. Yeah.
I used to do that from when I was about 5-6 years old. So I always had that enjoyment of creating my own characters and illustrations and that kind of thing. So he said to me, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I just want to draw cartoons all day." And he said, "Well, you can't really just do that. You need to have some sort of qualification."
Yeah.
And I went, "Oh, okay."
Do I really?
Yeah, exactly. I just didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
I just assumed I would just be able to go and get a job. So he said to me, "You need to go to college at least." So I was like, "Oh, fair enough." I was just basically being told what to do.
Yeah.
Went to college, did my 2 years at just BTEC level. I mean, I don't know whether they still do BTEC now. I don't think they do. Yeah. And then after that, my tutor said to me, "Right, do you want to go on to go to uni, HND, and all that kind of stuff, higher national diploma?"
Yeah.
I said, "No, not really. I just want to get a job."
Yeah.
And he looked at me like, "You've got so much potential here with your illustration." And I wasn't interested. And I said, no, I'm pretty confident I will be able to work my way up, start as a trainee, whatever, work my way up. And I didn't really know where I was going, in all honesty.
Yeah.
But that's what I thought I'd do. So about a year later, I got a job at the Auto Trader, Totnes.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I first started as a trainee designer with Richard. Know Richard from Insignia?
Nethercroft.
Neverclift.
No.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
So I've known him since then. He started two weeks after me, and basically spent a couple of years in the Southwest Auto Trader. Then I moved up to South London Auto Trader. Did another few years up there. Dotted around a couple of little marketing agencies around the area, and then I got a job where I was actually using some of my illustration work.
Okay.
Which was nice. And I remember one day, we used to work for Longman's publications, the Pearson Education. They used to do like educational books and things. Some of like 200-300 pages each.
Wow.
And in there was opportunity to do a few little illustrations or some filler kind
Nice.
of artwork. And one day I remember back in the day when there was fax machines, there was this this piece of paper come through with like a little illustration sketch on it. And I knew this was going to go in this particular space on this book that I was putting together. I was setting all the artwork and the layout.
Yeah.
And it had on there, this particular artist was charging £250 for this little illustration. Tiny little thing.
I could do that.
And I looked at it and I thought, 250 quid? That was more than what I was earning in a week. And I looked at it and I thought, that would take me a day, if that.
Okay.
So that really gave me that feeling of like, hang on a minute, I'm doing all this.
Yeah.
This guy, whoever he was, is doing that. He's earning more than me in one day.
Yeah.
And that kind of like sowed the seed of,
Cool.
I think I could do this myself. And then the idea went out my head.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And we just had a new baby girl born. So that took all my attention away. I carried on with my work as I did. Moved down to Devon eventually. And I really struggled to find work. So I did think, shall I start up my own freelance business?
Okay.
And then this job at a printer's come along in Exeter.
Okay.
A big printers. They're no longer there now. But they used to do big labels for bottle wraps and tin cans and stuff like that. We're talking like vast quantities, hundreds of thousands of, not just a few sheets of paper kind of thing.
What were they called?
James Townsend
I don't know
and
them.
Sons. Yeah, they'd been there for crikey. I think they've been there for like 100 odd years or very close to it. They were huge. They were quite in the centre of Exeter. Excuse me. So once they realised I could do some artwork, because they had no artwork skills about, I started obviously creating some labels for them, bits and pieces, and it was all great. But then I had that feeling of like, oh, I'm going to have to, I need to get back into the creative world again. Because as much as I learned from that, how to set up plates properly and choke, knock out and overprint, all those kind of things, which to most designers, they wouldn't have a clue what
They wouldn't have a clue now.
Oh, they certainly wouldn't now. But yeah, Pantone colours and like things going through the press with not just 4 colours, CMYK colours, but like some like 12 colour piece of artwork going through process and spot colours and all that and metallics and things. So that gave me a huge, even if it was only a year, it gave me a huge sort of understanding of the print side, which is so obviously important. But then I got a little bit bored and I thought I need some creative work again. So I found a job at an agency in Exeter doing kind of everything really. Signage, websites. It was mostly for shopping centres and things like Covent Garden Market. We used to do a lot of work for them. We did their store directories, their maps, it wasn't social media back then.
No.
Basic websites, print. It was a complete range
It's
of
like a full service agency then.
Oh, totally, yeah. And that's where I felt as if I really started to understand, not just working for the Auto Trader. You're just doing Auto Trader stuff all day long.
Yeah.
And another, like a marketing agency in someone else's business, you're just doing their stuff. Whereas here, we was doing so many different clients, so many different styles of work, different target audiences. And it was great. And my knowledge and my experience was just...
So you learned a lot there.
Heck of a lot, yeah. So combined with my Auto Trader speed, skills, shortcuts and everything like that, with my illustration work, and now my wider range of design skills across web, print, signage, all that kind of stuff. I just felt as if I feel like I'm getting to that stage where I need to do something of my own.
Yep.
And then the company got bought out by Braylano.
Okay.
So is that my watch? Bloody wife.
Don't worry about that.
The company got bought out by Braylano as who a big agency based up in North Devon.
Well.
Yeah. So we was as a team was going to go up to there, and they were going to set up a department called the Destination Department. I think because of our experience with shopping centres, used to do a load of work for shopping centres. Well, that was the bulk of our kind of work. So I assume that Bray Leno saw an opportunity. Well, actually, we want to get into that kind of area.
Yeah.
Let's buy a whole company that do all just that. Bring them in, and
What sort of time, like,
when was that?
yeah, when was it?
2000.
2000
Trying to think now.
that'd be, yeah, it must have been
2000
around 2000, something like that.
2000. No, it was later than that.
Right.
2000 and off the top of my head, 8 and 9.
Right.
It was.
The only reason I
Yeah.
ask is because I know that they bought a media buying agency and,
Right.
around that time, and then they became the largest independent agency outside of London.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was. I remember that particular stat. They were basically saying
Yeah.
there was. I think it was in the top. It was a top 15 or something, and they're the only ones outside of the London area. And I thought, wow, that's quite a.
Yeah.
Quite. And to be
Impressive
fair,
agency.
that was kind of how it was sold to us in a
Yeah.
way of like, you can work for Bray Leno now,
Yeah.
which is all well and good.
Yeah.
But at the time, the King's Kerswell bypass hadn't been done. I was living in Torquay,
Right.
and I was having to drive up to a place called Philly
Yeah.
in North Devon.
North Devon. Yeah.
And it's about a 144-mile round trip. And I remember sitting there, and the bosses said, "This is what we're going to do. Have some time to think about it." And I'm sitting there thinking, it's quite some journey to do
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
And at the time, we had our second little girl who was in nursery. That was costing us like £1,200 a month in nursery fees.
Mhm.
I'm thinking, hang on a minute, I'm spending out that.
Yeah.
I'm barely earning the same.
Yeah.
What am I doing? This seems a bit.
In one hand, out the other.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But the reason I decided to stay was I thought I don't want to drop out of the creative world, because I'd seen people who'd done that
Yep.
and they found it so difficult to get back in. So that was a big worry in my head, and I thought, no, I can't do that. So what I decided to do was just do 3 days a week up there.
Yep.
2 days at home looking after the child, and it's at that point I picked up my first freelance job,
Okay.
and it was Richard from Insignia.
Yeah.
He I don't know if he was Insignia then, but anyway, he contacted me and said, "Look, there's a client who's in the next building to us. They're a refrigeration kind of company. They've got these kind of like components, or I don't know what they call, like little gadgets or something like that, sit in the back of a
Yep.
refrigerator."
Was it Bartlett Refrigeration?
No,
I can't remember.
began with C. I can't think what it was.
Okay.
So long ago. They were trying to enter into the American market,
Right.
and they wanted to create a kind of like a super character, a super hero kind of character
Okay.
that made they just like things like that with a couple of wires coming out of the top,
Yeah.
grey looking cylinder
Yeah.
kind of things.
The
that just
boring products make it look
Totally.
exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he said, I know you love illustration stuff. What do you think? So I went along to the meeting, had a quick chat about what they wanted, and I knew I could do it, but I'd never ever done a quote for anyone before. Never done an invoice. I didn't have no business name. I just didn't have a clue what I was supposed to do. I never knew how to price anything.
Yeah.
All I'd
You never
experience.
needed to,
No,
did you?
exactly.
Up
Yeah.
until that point.
So that was quite entertaining. I was sitting there thinking, okay, so if I spend X amount on sketches, then I'd put it on the computer. And then I was trying to do a complete timeline of everything that was involved
Yeah.
in producing this piece of artwork. I didn't really know what the thing was going to look like or how long it was going to take, but that was the only way I could work out
Yeah.
what to charge.
Yeah.
So I put a quote in, accepted pretty much straight away. And I thought, yeah. And I thought, damn. But anyway, I was just excited because I had picked up my first proper,
Awesome.
proper contract.
Yeah.
Did the work. They loved it. Before you knew it, a couple of more little characters. They've decided that this little box over here could also be turned into a character. And then I created a kind of suite of characters, and I loved it. And it was great. So I had to do my first invoice, and then I had to come up with a name for the business.
Right.
And I was like, oh, what the heck am I going to call myself? So a few years earlier, when I first was trying to build my own website, I had to register a domain name.
Right.
And I put in my old college nickname, which was Frank. That was my nickname I'd given myself on the first day of college. I know, totally random. There was a story behind it, but you don't need to hear that. And I thought, I'll just domain name, I don't know, frank.co.uk. Obviously it had gone, but the suggestion was Frankman.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, Frank's got Frank. I'm kind of a man. Let's go for it. So I bought that, and all of a sudden I was known as Frankman. But I thought, well, okay, I need design in there. So Frankman Design. Yeah. That's how I registered my business. It was all sort of officially set up. HMRC, I hadn't a clue what to do there. It was totally, someone just said to me, just phone them up and just tell them what you're doing. Yeah. And I was terrified because I was working for somewhere else. I was worried that they would find out about me doing freelance work, and they would kick me out and all this kind of pathetic things now when you think about it. And that's kind of how the business started. So from that, obviously, I was still working at Bray Leno, still doing the crazy journey that I was doing. And a few people then sort of said, I'm starting a business. I know you do this, that, and the other. Can you help me out? Yep. Before you know it, they know someone, they want something. And pretty quickly, within 3 or 4 months, I thought, actually, I've got quite a lot of work coming in here. Nice. And I decided that at the point of the youngest completely finishing nursery, all of a sudden we'd have the money I was losing. Yep. Balanced itself out, and I was right back where I was, but I was free from working for someone else, and I was just doing my own thing, and it just carried on from there, really. So so that was a little bit of a introduction of where I've come.
Great story.
Yeah,
great story.
So,
yeah. Right, I guess we best delve into the 6 questions, and we'll start off with the first one. What led you to start or buy into an agency, and what problem were you originally trying to solve?
Well, you've heard the story.
Yep.
a little more in depth than probably you needed. All along, this is where your kind of business probably popped onto my radar. Yep. Along with various other agencies that have come and gone over the years, and I remember used to looking at some of the work, and it probably was more noticeable when I worked at the printers, because we'd have different agencies sending in artwork. Yeah. And I used to look at the stuff that was coming in, and I used to think, my God, they're charging an absolute fortune for this. There's no bleed on it, no trim marks, the colours aren't set up right, all those kind of bits and pieces. And I just think, how do they get it? How are these people getting away with charging whatever? Yep. A few £100, a few £1,000, whatever, to do something which I knew I could do, just like that, better than what they were doing. And I thought, how can I offer that high level of service, but to the people who maybe can't afford it as much? I mean, right from the start, already I was devaluing my skills and my talent. So I was onto a loser right from the start, thinking about it. But yeah, my aim was to give people who either couldn't afford to get the high agency kind of level work.
There's definitely an area for that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Even we find it now. I mean, you must find it as well. That there's agencies that charge 10 times what we're charging, but
yes,
they deliver a more rounded, full service. They're working on clients millions of pounds. Yes, whereas we're not at that level yet.
But in my head though, I used to look at the stuff that these big, huge clients probably were spending. And naively was probably thinking, there's just one designer doing all that. You look at their website and it might have the account manager, someone in the finance department, someone on customer service, a dog. There's usually a dog on there somewhere, and the cleaner. And I used to look at that and think, my God, this business here is paying for all of those people. And in my head, it was only the designer who was actually doing all the hard work. So as you can imagine, I was setting myself up for a fall there. And but yeah, I just thought to myself, I need to offer a service where I can give decent quality design work,
Yeah.
properly created in my mind, and for a damn sight cheaper than the agencies were producing. And that was kind of my marketing angle as well. When I used to create myself my little postcards and stuff, which I used to create, I never used to dish any out. It was ridiculous. I mean, like most clients nowadays, when we say to them, "So look, don't just put them in a drawer. They're not going to earn any money sat in a drawer. Give them out." And their whole mindset was, "Oh yeah, but I've got to buy more. Then it's expensive." It's like, yeah, but if you're giving them out, you'll make some money and you'll be able to pay for them. So for me, it was that feeling of I've got so much to give.
Yep.
There's so many people out there who desperately need help with their design and print and web kind of side of things, but they can't afford to get it done properly. I'll jump in the middle and pick some of that up.
And it's good that obviously you've got the print background, so like, you know, there's definitely a niche. There's even more so of a niche now. There's a lot of designers that are coming out of university and out of college.
Oh, totally.
That don't understand the print process very well. So the print is kind of making resurgence in certain areas. So I definitely think your skill set is not dead and buried.
No, I have those moments when I think, oh, it's such a shame we don't do as much print work. But when we do get some print work in, and I mean, you must get it. You receive some brand guidelines. How many brand guidelines have I seen lately which don't even have CMYK colours on it? It's just hex colours or RGB. And I have to say to the client, it's like, but this is going to print. I need to know, if someone else has created these for you, I need to know what the breakdown of the CMYK colours are.
What's CMYK?
And they say, well, just let it convert itself. And it's like, well, I will do if that's what you want me to do, but just be aware that will go really muddy looking, the colour, or what you think is a nice, maybe an off-white colour background. When it goes into print, that'll go quite dirty looking. It'll either disappear completely from the print, or it'll appear up and it'll go the other way.
Orange, I mean, that's one of the worst ones.
Yes.
Convert that from a screen colour to a print
and
colour.
green. Sort of neon green.
And burnt and,
so, but like you sort of said, print, it's definitely, it's got a place, and it's got an opportunity to bring more of it out. It's just I don't know, there's something nice about print.
I think the other thing that, you know, that I think you do add, like, it was talking about the problem that you're originally trying to solve, and I think that your, you know, clients coming to you, okay, you were just an individual at that time, but they're coming to an individual that has got a vast skill set. Whereas, like, you know, I've worked for big agencies, and you're pigeonholed into doing certain tasks. So your skill set is reduced. You know, you haven't got the breadth of skills that you've learned by working in different places and you know, doing different types of design work. So you know,
and that's exactly it. That's why I felt I was a walking one-man agency. Sounds a bit big-headed, doesn't it? But it is. It is very much true. And when you say about print, you kind of forget that element of what you do. But when the time comes back and someone asks for some print, that's when I don't know, I just feel like I get a bit more of a buzz from that kind of feeling of like, yes, we're doing a last bit of print work. I can set up all my margins, my master pages, and get all my colours all set properly and stuff like that. And that excites me. And it's kind of lost that a little bit.
I know it's nostalgic, but it is, you know, people like, you know, tangible, tactile things. They like to hold something. You know, and they retain the information far better from a printed document than they do from a screen document.
Totally.
So
there's you know, you can read a PDF or whatever quite happily on screen for a certain period of time. It's much nicer, obviously, to have it in your hands. You can scribble over it, make some notes, all that kind of bits and pieces, and just put it down and take it anywhere as such. So yes, totally.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right, second question. What was the biggest turning point in your agency's story? A success or a failure or challenge that changed how you operated? Now, you mentioned, obviously, Frankman, and obviously now you're DuoDot, so you've got a few little stories around
a few. Oh,
around
crikey.
this question.
Yeah, you've been warned. I mean, how far back do you want to go?
It's entirely up to you, Mark.
I've got obviously I've got some notes here of a few key areas,
Yeah.
but this is spanning a great period of time. But
Yeah.
like I said to you earlier, they're all sort of lessons which, or sort of things that have happened which have got their own sort of lessons in. So if you're happy to hear them,
Yeah,
then
definitely. I think, I mean, anything like life lessons that you've learned as being an owner of a creative business that other people will watch and listen to,
yeah,
that they can impart either to not make the same mistakes or to watch out for those pitfalls
yeah.
or the successes to make
Right.
sure they,
Okay,
maybe
so
replicate them. So,
what have I got here? I suppose one thing that springs to mind is don't try and do it all yourself.
yeah.
That was one of the things
Yeah, that's
which
a good lesson,
I
definitely.
really struggled with. The reason I say that is when about sort of 5-6 years into the Frankman, I was obviously doing everything,
Yeah.
and the design, the print, not so much marketing because that wasn't my thing. I was
Yeah.
relying on clients to give me the copy.
Yep.
I wasn't 100% sure whether it sounded right or not. I'd make some suggestions and stuff, but in general, I was working with what they got.
Yeah.
Unless I was 100% confident that seemed right. But web was an area where I massively was struggling with. Back in the day when things were created in tables and then CSS come along.
HTML.
Yeah, all that kind of thing. And I held my own quite okay. And then those darn clients wanted to start doing their own changes to the websites. I'd like to be able to do this. I'd like to be able to do that. And
Panic.
yeah, exactly. And I used to think, oh no, the websites I build, only I can do them. So that was an area where I thought I need to try and learn how to use WordPress. WordPress was relatively new back then.
Yeah.
I hadn't a clue what I was doing. My mind's a creative mind. It's not a technical programming kind of mind. And I tried to fudge my way through downloading a WordPress, looking through the code. I didn't know what I was looking for. And I was seeing bits and I was just hacking bits out here, there and everywhere, refreshing the page. If it still worked, in my mind, I thought I've broken something. And I was doing that all the way along. And I was going on to kind of like forum websites, and someone said, oh yeah, take this bit of code and stick it here and it will make the page scroll up when you click the button and stuff. And I thought, oh great. I was chucking stuff in there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't obviously long before things started going wrong. And luckily I hadn't done a client's website using WordPress at all, because it would have been a complete and utter disaster. But I soon realized I need help.
Yeah.
And Lee, who you know, he was looking to do more web work and stuff like that. So we kind of got together, and that took a massive weight off my shoulders, so I could focus back onto the design side.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'd create a web visual for him, but he would pull the websites together. So that for me was an important lesson.
Yeah.
I was trying as much as I possibly could to keep everything under my control, and it was just stressing me out. And so that's why obviously I needed help. Lee came along and it's like, great, let's do that and see how that kind of rolls. So
he was very technically minded, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was the start of some of the things. Things went on over the years from that sort of stage. One thing, or another big thing, shiny carrots.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
As years went on, we had other ideas of making money, like you do, you know.
Shiny carrots.
Shiny carrots. So it's like, oh, let's come up with an idea for this. There was a particular business which I kind of got suckered into.
Right.
And it was a lead generation kind of company.
Oh,
which,
do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And when Lee joined, he saw it as an opportunity to turn into a business. I saw it as an opportunity. It's like, I just don't want to see it kind of thing. But we started up this separate business, which it had a lot of potential, and it was going okay, but the manpower, even just between the two of us,
Yep.
to try and keep this information updated, sort out all the problems, etc., etc. It was taking away the attention from Frankman.
Yep.
Obviously, that creates a certain level of friction, not only between the two of you, but
Mhm.
between the clients as well. You know, where's
Yeah.
my work? I'm
Yep.
trying, you know, I need this. So I'm trying to pull the business back
Yeah.
to do this. Eventually, that particular project was shelved, but it wasn't long before another idea sprung up.
Sparked by Lee, or
I can't remember how that come about, but it was certainly fueled by
Right, okay.
by Lee more than anything. And it was you're going to laugh, but it was for an online estate agency.
okay.
And
It wasn't called Purple something, was it?
no, but that was probably one of the inspirations, because I
Okay.
think they had just come out onto the scene, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it was obviously all very much online stuff.
Yeah.
And we were sitting there thinking, do you know what? There's these online estate agencies come along. Yeah, they look okay from a branding point of view. The websites aren't particularly that riveting. And with Lee's programming knowledge,
Yep.
my branding design background, it's like, why don't we set up an estate agency, like a local one? Because all the ones around here were very dated. Nothing was changing. The websites were awful, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the next shiny carrot. But again, 6 months, 9 months down the line, I'm part qualified as an estate agent. Believe it or not, I say
Really?
part. Well, there was like four parts to estate agency
Okay.
training. I passed the first one, and that's as far as I got. So if ever I'm in trouble, I can become an estate agent. But yeah, again, my passion for design, it was just like, this is not what I want to do. But again, it's the problem. Shiny carrots.
Yeah.
That looks like fun. That'll make us a load of money. Getting drawn into something, and then having to say to yourself at times, what am I actually doing? This is not what I want to do.
No.
So those kind of things were kind of the start of problems. And I think when there's two people in a business and they've both got different ideas of what they want, if they're not aligned, it causes a lot of strain.
Yeah.
And you've both got to have a clear goal of where you're taking this business. Otherwise, one's looking one way, one's looking the other way, for various reasons, whether it's financial reasons or enjoyment reasons, or
No, I agree. It's a shame, really, because obviously you guys got together because he filled the void that you needed.
Totally.
You know, and that's how, you know, really it should have just continued being, really.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know, Lee got, you know, better ideas. I mean, it could have been anybody else, really. You know, you get a diversionary idea, or this is a money-making scheme.
Yep.
And like you say, I mean, I know I'm a creative director as well.
Yeah.
And my passion and my love is being creative.
Totally.
And the second you kind of start diverting into other things, then the passion just goes, really.
Totally. Yeah. And if you feel like you're doing something, another idea, and it's not really what you want to do, that not initially, but the cracks soon start to show, and then you have those moments of like, this is why am I doing this? This isn't me, and that's kind of where it went, really. But yeah, so that was a couple of examples. The other one was. You'll laugh again, really. It's crazy when I look back. But we had the opportunity to work with a radio station.
Okay.
A local, well, kind of part local, but part up Stafford kind of area. And we got into conversations of being involved with setting up the styling, the marketing, and the branding of this radio station called Max Radio. And the reason we got involved was because it's a little bit more closer to what we actually do. We saw it as an opportunity to expand our range of design, marketing, and web services to go into a kind of radio advertising, potential events that could be associated with that. So it wasn't as crazy as starting an estate agency, but it still had its own potential problems. Our kind of massive shiny carrot feeling of, do you know, this is really exciting. This could be really good fun.
Yep.
It'd be quite nice to say you own a radio station. Your ego and the excitement and the massive shiny carrots really start taking over.
And you can be creative as well.
Of course, yeah. But because it was very brand new, there was a whole load of teething problems from a production point of view, as in setting up, because it was in 2 locations, up country and down here as well. So that didn't help. And the people who were setting it up, we realised quite quickly that they weren't business-minded people at all.
Right.
We invested some money into it, got a little tiny sliver of the business, and it wasn't long before we had done all what we could do. One of the logos I created, it was one of my best logos.
Damn it!
Yeah, I know. I was so proud of the logo. We did the brochures, the leaflets, and all that kind of stuff, the social media graphics and things.
Yeah.
And the thing that let it down was the business minds behind it.
What a shame.
Yeah. So it just kind of crumbled.
Yeah.
People, some of the presenters who were trying to offer their services free to get it all going, they just kind of disappeared. Then it was left with almost like the 4 of us. It's like, hang on a minute, we've got involved with something which we didn't think we was going to be expected to be too involved with. So the lesson from that was very much a case of really sort of think about what you're getting involved with.
Due diligence. Then.
Massively.
Yeah.
Yeah. If knowing what we know now and the business people I feel as if we've become, me and Maggie, our mindsets and our knowledge and our understanding and stuff, there's nowhere on earth we would have got involved with it, knowing what we know now.
Yep.
And so yeah, it is that kind of thing of something comes along and you think this is going to be fun, exciting, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. You can quickly lose track of your own business or what you're supposed to be doing and go off in a complete different direction. And if you haven't got the right people, or as they say, the old phrase, get the right people on the bus. We were the right people on the bus from a marketing and design and branding point of view. But whoever was driving it wasn't qualified to drive that bus.
I mean, as you know, I know other people in our sector. They've done similar things, bought into other businesses and stuff and, been missold the dream. And it's the wrong people basically selling the dream. Yeah. And they've not done enough due diligence before going into the venture and then been bitten. Yeah. So it's definitely a business lesson to learn. Yes. Yeah. Oh,
there's loads of them in there. Oh, yeah. It's quite it's kind of scary when you look back and you think that happened, then that happened, then that happened. And I was thinking earlier, I look back in the near 20 years that Frankman was around. Like I said, it was 6 months shy of being the 20th year anniversary. Yeah. And obviously that was gutting. I know. It didn't make that. Yep. But I would say the first 15 years, I was pretty wet behind the ears as far as being a business person. I was just a designer with a passion just to do great design, great, help with great marketing, and just be creative. So 15 years of my business career,
That's not bad though.
I was just
to think of that.
Yeah, I was just a creative person. Yeah. But when me and Lee split up, that's when I started becoming obviously more business minded. Yeah. I had to be because in all honesty, he was the one who was driving the business forward wherever we were going. So that's when I would have paid more attention to reading books, doing more courses, listening to audiobooks. I love listening to audiobooks. I listened to a good 150 odd of those quite happily, sat in the car. And of everything to do with business. Even tried to read a book about accountancy once, which
good luck with that.
Yeah, it was cool. It was recommended.
Did it help you sleep?
It just confused the heck out of me. It was something called The Accountancy Based on the Lemonade Stall. It was kind of like almost like a.
Yeah, I know it.
Almost like
I do know it.
like a child's version of
Yeah, yeah.
Introduction to Accountancy. And I thought, actually, that'd be quite good.
Yeah.
I followed it along so far, and then about about a third of the way through, the calculations which it was trying to tell me I need to do this, I was like, hang on a minute, I've completely lost it here, and that's as far as that book went. So I did at that point again, going back to one of my previous comments was, if you don't know what you're doing, let the experts do it.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Obviously we've got an accountant who does our accounts for us. We keep the bookkeeping in house, which is fine. But even that, if it gets to the stage where it's just so complicated and confusing, we'll just outsource it because it's just not worth.
Yeah, good idea.
Worth the hassle and the time.
Yeah, we do the same. We do our own invoicing, but we have a bookkeeper and then we have an accountant on top of that. So there's different tiers depending on the complexity of the project, really.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
So that was kind of it, really. But yeah, and I suppose the final turning point is before Frank Mann got to the stage. I would say the last couple of years of Frank Mann, we wanted to do so much, and kind of you get that panic mode of like, we're not getting the work we used to. AI has come along.
Yep.
Canva turned everyone into their own little designer.
Little Canva.
Yeah. Although I don't actually mind Canva. I
it's
must.
actually quick and easy to use.
Yeah, it's very clever. I was doing some social media graphics the other day on Canva, and it was something very simple. And I thought I didn't realise it could do that. A couple of seconds later, and I thought, that's fine. The kerning on the text wasn't to my liking.
Yeah, that's the control on it. But
yeah, but it was a social media post.
Yeah.
People are just going to whiz by it anyway. You might get a few likes, but it was kind of taking back that whole kind of, I don't need to do a perfect job on this. Mm-hmm. This just needs to look good enough for what it is. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's as Maggie would say, a phrase she uses a lot is it's just chip paper.
Right.
Yeah. You see it once, and that's it. You won't see that again. So which is good. But when AI come along and people were using it more, we set up a little thing called ThinkPrint in our office in an attempt to try and draw in some more business.
Okay.
It worked to a certain degree, but giving yourself as an extra arm as kind of like a little print shop, it also attracts real low end clients, and the sort who just really don't want to pay for anything. Mm-hmm. They really are doing everything themselves. Yeah. And then they come in to you and spend 15 minutes or so in your little print shop in the office space that we had, showing you a piece of artwork that they created on Canva, which wasn't set up properly. Texted
it's
to
in Canva and not in Word or something.
We had a couple of files come in which were done in Word, and we just said to them, like, we can't work with that. We'll have to convert that. It will be X, Y, Z to that. Yeah. So that wasn't too much of a problem. That was probably a good thing. But when they brought something in Canva and it had no bleed, no trim marks, the colours were electric compared to what they was actually going to get in sort of print. But again, it was that whole thing of like, that wasn't a shiny carrot. That was more of a kind of, we need more work in. We need to spread to get some different kind of clients. Yeah. And our hope was it would bring in, maybe some builders who just driving past the office think, actually, I just need a business card. You get them through the door, and it's like, we put your web address on your card, and they go, I haven't got a website. Oh. Convenient. Yeah. Would you like a website? You need a logo though. Have you got a logo? Yeah. So that was that was the idea of where that was going to go.
To catch a mackerel. Yeah.
Exactly that. Yeah. So, but that, like most things actually, when I look back over the biggest mistakes we've made from the shiny carrots, is diverting too much of your time and too much of your attention on other things. If they work, great.
Yeah.
But
and it could have worked. It could have worked because there's definitely a market for that. But it's it's how you market it, how much time you dedicate to it. Yeah. And then you're diverting, like you say, all your time then to that side of the business and not the core bit that you love.
With the ThinkPrint, and whether this is, I wouldn't say it's a control thing, but because of our knowledge, mine and Maggie's knowledge,
Yeah.
was far greater than the small team that we had.
Yeah.
You naturally think, oh, I better do this one. It's quicker for me to do it.
Yeah,
I'll do
yeah.
that. Yeah, don't worry, I'll go and speak to them because I've spoken to clients more.
Yeah.
And you might be stood downstairs for half an hour speaking to some old lady who's come in just for a couple of photocopy prints. You earn a couple of quid out of it, but you wasted half an hour of your time.
Yeah.
Looking back, we should have got them down. Can you deal with this? Can you deal with this? You'll learn from your mistakes and stuff like that. But it's only sort of small potential issues here, and we should have been upstairs focusing on turning the business round. But again, in hindsight,
Hindsight.
it's a wonderful thing. So there's just a few. Believe me, there's way more than that, but a few sort of examples of things. And if I had to categorise them, they all involve shiny carrots. Distractions of things you just shouldn't really be getting involved with. And looking and thinking to yourself, is that going to do our business good in the fact of it's going to draw the right kind of people in? Is it related to what we do? Can other people in your team do that other than just me? All those sort of little bits that needs to go through your head first. And if none of them tick the boxes, you've just got to say to yourself, nope, I've got to move on. So
good lessons learned.
Thanks. Some expensive ones, believe me, but
I've been there.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know whether you had sort of similar kind of scenarios.
I mean, obviously my background, but very similar things where we've tried various different things. I am a massive believer in trying things and seeing if they work.
Totally,
generally all around trying to stay within the creative realm.
Yes.
I've not ventured off into different things,
estate
agencies or anything like that. But I mean, I've learnt the same lessons really in business, is that stick to what you're best at really. And try and concentrate and find new ways, even if the business is suffering work-wise for whatever reason. Like you say, upskill yourself. Take on different people to help you in different areas. Try and diversify as best you can within your confined budgets. But don't take on too much. And stick to what you're best at. I mean, I found myself being more of an MD and an HR guy than I was a creative. And I think the second that sort of dynamic changed, then I could see that the business needed more of my help on the creative side, and I should have really got somebody else in on the MD side and HR and all that. So
but it's the thing,
I've learned a lot of lessons.
But did you start your business on your own originally?
Sort of. I started it with I was working in Bristol, commuting every day
to Bristol.
Crikey.
I don't feel so bad now.
I was doing that for about nearly 2 years, and then got a phone call one day saying, from a guy that owned a print company, saying, can you, would you like to set up a design arm of my print business? To which I have done before. So I was like, and it meant that no more commuting. But all the design work and everything I was bringing in over the first 12 months or so, they couldn't print. So about 98% of it was going outside to different print companies, because they were too small a print company, the company that I was with, to produce the work. So in the end we came to a natural kind of split. And they came on board as silent partners. So although I did really create the business from myself ground up, they came along the ride as silent partners for a while, until I eventually bought them out. So that's how it all started really.
But the main thing is it's still related.
Businesses. It's still in the creative realm. Right, we best get on to question 3. Which is, how do you balance creativity with the practical demands of running a business? And I think you touched on a few things already.
Because we've always been quite a small team. We've never, obviously when I was on my own, I was doing everything like everyone would. But even when Lee was on board, when it was just back to me and Maggie, when we had a few people who come on board again, myself and Maggie have always been at the top, doing obviously the bulk of the work, whether it's marketing or design or the biggest projects. Mm-hmm. But we've also been involved in the proposals, the quoting, the invoicing, the accounts, the HR, all of those kind of elements. So we've always had to be doing everything, basically.
Wearing all the hats.
And which isn't that bad all the time, because it's a nice variety. Sometimes it's quite nice to sit there and just do some invoices for half an hour or so, or reconciling the accounts, or doing a little bit of planning. So it's nice that there's some variety. And I must admit, when we took on a young girl called Kirsty, who was straight out of college looking for her first job, and it's like, oh, ideal, get her into to do the bulk of my design work,
right?
Or the bits which were taking me forever to do, the social media kind of graphics and the simple like poster designs and all that kind of bits of it. So once you've got someone doing those kind of things, it's nice to obviously step back and then become not her tutor as such, but oversee what she's doing, give her some suggestions, ideas and stuff. And
mentor, really.
That's it. And I liked that. That was a nice way to work. But again, because we was such a small agency, there was obviously still loads of work that only I could do.
Yeah.
And that's not from a control point of view. That's from just a general. Some projects you just know.
Yeah.
You've spent probably over the period of years that you've worked on that particular job. There's the tiny little hidden bits about there, or the style sheets, or all those kind of bits and pieces, and you think, I can't risk them taking it over, doing fine to a certain degree, and then accidentally deleting a style sheet and everything disappears, or doing something which becomes so confusing to recover it. You end up thinking, oh no, I don't need that. I don't need that in the back of my head. I'd rather just do it myself. Because also as well, I still want to do creative stuff as well. I don't want to be sitting there just doing accounts and having meetings and stuff. I mean, crikey.
Don't want that.
No. I mean, at the end of the day, we're creative people. We want to. I mean, logos, for example. I love designing logos.
You are absolutely amazing at logo design. I have to say,
I love it.
Really good.
If I could just do logo designs, I say I'd be happy. I'd probably get bored of it, I'm sure. But logos and branding and typography, that's my thing. And whereas websites, that's another story. But yes, sorry, where was I going? The thing which we kind of discovered, and again, this was in the last 5 years, was we were just spending too much time in the business. And as much as me and Maggie were trying to work on the business, the time required to do that was quite considerable. And then obviously when you get staff, they're forever. What about this? And what should I do next? And have you got this for me? And or clients and stuff. And you're constantly being dragged back into that kind of scenario. So you're desperately trying to work on the business. You're desperately trying to do more marketing. You're desperately trying to do all the things you know you need to do. But you're just not finding the time to do it. And no matter how much you say, no, we are this afternoon, we're doing this. We're going downstairs and we're working on this, or we're not in today, we're focusing on that. There's only so much you can do, and you have all these great ideas of what you're going to, your plans and your ideas and strategies and all that kind of stuff. But then when it comes to implementing them, that's it. It doesn't take long. A week, 2 weeks further down the line, and you still haven't got around to doing it because you've been backtracking all the stuff that you've missed. All of a sudden, you kind of forget what you were supposed to be doing. It might not seem as important then,
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
might have got a new
Yeah.
job come in,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden all hands to the deck to deal with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's kind of tough, and also as well just keeping track of people's time,
Yeah.
the flow of the projects, because again, if you're not there managing all that or keeping an eye on it, you know what staff are like. They can
Yeah.
find alternative things to
If you
do.
don't fill their time, they will find time.
Oh,
just
massively.
I'll just look at
Yeah.
the internet for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we've all been there. I mean, when I think of not any opportunity, but when I was working for different businesses over the years, there's always time when you have a bit of a laugh with your mate, and you just think,
Yeah.
oh, I can't be bothered to do this afternoon.
Yeah.
They've gone out for the afternoon. We'll just have a chat, and
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So you know what it's like. You're not stupid, but when you're running a business and when the business is struggling, that's when it can get quite tense.
Yeah.
And you can have those moments where you just want to throttle them, because you're thinking, God, you just want to say to them, do you realise
Yeah.
what situation we're in
Yeah.
right now? And then also it got to that stage where we had to have those kind of conversations. There's a book which I read, one of many, called, it was to do with the Netflix culture.
Okay.
No Rules or something, I think it's called. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's all about how Netflix was, doing fine as it was, and there was a couple of incidents that happened where some people were brought in to kind of shake it up, and also give the staff opportunity to be very honest and open, try to break down some of the barriers as far as stop tracking their time so much, give them more flexibility. It's about sort of 7 or 8 different key areas they kind of covered. And me and Maggie sat down, I read the book, and Maggie always used to dread it when I'd say, oh, I've read this book, you should read it. And she'd
hides in the cupboard.
and she'd you could just see her face thinking, oh no, not another book. Because that was my problem. I used to sort of read something and I think, oh, we should do this.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
And then, oh, we should do this. We should do this. So she's heard that plenty of times. Anyway, this particular one, I said it would be good for you to read it, because I think it would be good for us to help understand and maybe try and manage our team a little bit better. And yeah, we tried to introduce some of the elements. But again, it's the same old thing. Unless you're constantly on the case all the time, things slip by. Time sheets, start with all the good intentions, managing projects, the margins and the scope creep and all that kind of stuff. It's just continuous.
Yeah, there's a fine line. I mean, ultimately, you got paid work to get out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, we all got best intentions to market ourselves, and I think creative agencies are probably one of the worst businesses to actually market themselves and do it well, because you're busy doing the doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, I would say marketing. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? A marketing agency aren't marketing themselves, but that was, I would say, one of our massive downfalls. If anything come from this whole collapse, you could say, of Frank Man, was we were spending out far too much money every month on premises, staff, obviously the big overheads, and we weren't filling the pipeline with constant leads, because we just weren't marketing enough. And it's not one person's fault. It's all of our fault. We gave the staff sort of opportunities to do stuff. Did they? Not really. But then again, it's up to us to give them a kick every now and again. And we're kicking ourselves. Everyone's responsible.
Yep.
But yeah, we just not shriveled away, but we probably put too much attention in things that just weren't going to shift the needle on big enough chunks as what. Thinkprint helped, but it just didn't help. Nowhere near enough. And
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
What's the most valuable lesson you've learned from working with clients, good or bad? We've all had some bad ones. Hopefully you got a lot more good than bad.
I mean, obviously, we love all of our clients. No, they're fine. We've in the 20. I'll say 20 years, because in all honesty, it was 20 years, and plus a little bit we've added on.
Yeah.
In all honesty, our clients, we have all been pretty good the whole way through. Yeah, of course, we've had a couple over the years who have been an absolute nightmare. And
what do you do with a nightmare clients then? Do you bin them off, or they're a nightmare because they're bad payers, or bad because they don't give you creative freedom, or
you got different ones. You've got ones who start off as they've got no idea what they want, no idea what you're going to do for them. No, they're the nice ones.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, because you can produce some of your nice work, you put it in front of them, and they go, "Oh my God, that's amazing! You're great." That gives you obviously a bit of an ego boost.
Well, they respect your view and your opinion.
Yeah,
as well,
of course.
which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're wonderful, and more often than not, they'll continue to be very pleased with whatever you're producing. They just know that you're the experts. They don't know really what they're talking about. They're the experts in their field, and they're happy with that. Yep. They just want to pay us to do it. They're great. You get the ones in the middle who they start off not really knowing anything. You educate them, show them the ways, and all of a sudden they've become the experts within a few weeks, and they start questioning your own design stuff, and you think, so hang on a minute. I remember what you used to have, and now you're questioning.
You've seen what you had before.
Yeah, you do. You want to sort of say, hang on a minute. But I also think to myself, it's quite nice though in another way, because you think to yourself, well, they're paying attention.
Yeah.
We've opened their eyes to an understanding of colour, or what nice type might look like, or alignment, those kind of little bits and pieces. And we have had some people say, I was following a van the other night and I looked in it was awful, and they took a photo and they send it to you, and you think, oh right, cheers, thanks for that. And they say, oh yeah, it's all horrible, isn't it? And you go, yeah, it is, it's disgusting. But they never would have noticed that before. So there's those kind of clients who appreciate what you do. They understand what you're doing for them and stuff like that. And then you get your nightmare ones who, no matter what you do, they've always got something to pick at, and it's almost like they just don't want that thing of we've had the final say. They almost like they see the final project and they say, can you just move that over a few meals?
Just because.
Yeah, just because. Because then they can say, "Oh yeah, it was okay, but I improved that." So you get those kind of clients, which I wouldn't say they're a nightmare, but they start off not knowing anything, and all of a sudden become the ones who just want to change things for the sake of it. And but yeah, in general, people who late payers and stuff, you always get those. You obviously get all the excuses under the sun that the reason they haven't paid, and I just a few of them, it's just like, oh yeah, we've had a huge VAT bill come in or whatever, and and it's like, yeah, so did we. So if you could pay ours, we'll. But no, in general, most of the clients are fine. If anyone, I would class as a bit of a pain is when you're focusing heavily on a project, and then you get continuous emails from them, and it's like, oh, have you done this yet? And I need this done. It's got to go out tomorrow, and it's like, seriously, you how long have you known this event is? You've booked the event 3 or 4 months ago, surely, and now you've decided you needed some flyers, or you've just looked for the flyers to take to the event, and now you realise that or they're out of date, or they got someone else's name on there. So that's a bit of an eye. But yeah, in general, most clients are fine, as long as they appreciate what we do. They're polite and friendly to us. And they pay the bills. I'm pretty happy with that.
We've had some awkward clients that, for whatever reason, like you say, sometimes they want that control, that level of control. and you think, well, I wouldn't invite a plumber to my house and then tell him how to do his job.
No.
So why are you kind of telling me, I've got, well, like you,
Yeah.
many years experience.
Yes.
So yeah, it's clients like that
Yeah.
we have, literally canned. We just don't want them as part of our business.
Yeah.
So.
Now, at this period in our careers,
Mm-hmm.
you can tell pretty quickly which ones are going to be an absolute nightmare. Either whether it's an email or just a few phrases or terminology they use, and you instantly think, oh, this one's going to be a nightmare. Come up with some excuse just to get rid of them because you're not interested. Or you see something that they send through, you naturally do a little bit of a background check on where they are, where their business. And yeah, you shouldn't always do that because we've had times when we've judged people books by cover and all that kind of stuff. But in general, yes, you start to get the radar is out, and you can tell. Yes, exactly. So, but no, in general, most of them are okay. Yeah,
it's good. What changes in the creative industry have most affected how your agency operates? And how have you adapted?
Well, there's the obvious one.
Well, there's an obvious one now.
Yeah, massively. It was Canva, to be fair.
Do you produce Canva templates for clients, as a matter of interest?
No.
Right.
Not at the moment.
Okay.
The only thing we do in Canva for a few of our clients are social media kind of graphics. And kind of like we were sort of saying earlier, the good thing about Canva, it's clever, but it's relatively limited to what you can do. So now I've got an understanding of its limitations. I kind of use that as a little bit of an excuse to say, I can't do what I would have done in InDesign, or Illustrator, because I'll be there for hours and hours and hours, so I don't even think about that kind of stuff. It's just a case of, I know I can adjust the text, the leading and spacing a little bit. I know I can chuck some colours. I love just dragging on a graphic and using the auto cutout tool. All those little are brilliant, and they've saved us oodles of time. But at the end of the day, they're very basic things. But that's all they are. If someone said to me, we've got a document that needs nice tabs and some perfectly alignment here, then not that a client would say that, but if I'm thinking, I'm doing a menu, there's no one on earth I'd want to sit there doing a menu in Canva. I can imagine it's an absolute nightmare, especially with the, space afters and formatting, all that kind of stuff would just be a joke. So Canva was the biggie for me, mainly through the think print problems we used to receive. But now it's obviously AI. However, AI, I've turned into one of those people who probably use AI probably more than not more than I should, but more than I thought I ever would. I don't mean from a creative point of view at all. There's only one client who have actually produced a graphic for using AI.
Right.
And the only reason was they wanted it was like a Christmas image. They gave me some examples of the style of the. I thought, there's no way on earth I could do that. I mean, it would take a professional artist something like 5 or 6 weeks to paint that. But I took these mashup of elements that they wanted, put it into AI. It took a few creations to get the final result. But when it did it, I was like, oh dear, that's clever.
It is damn clever.
And then I grabbed I grabbed their logo, placed it in. I didn't just plonk it on there. It was placed in there, and then I used some mask to bring the foreground and background and slot it in between. So there was a certain still a level of my Photoshop work to get it finalised. But for that was fine. But I don't use it for any other creative work. The only thing I use it for is help with replying to emails. I am terrible at replying to emails.
Copilot.
Is that what you use?
Well, I use Outlook, and now it's got Copilot.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I whenever in the past, if I had to, reply to someone who's maybe not complaining, but they've got an issue with such and such. I'd be there for half an hour, 3/4 an hour typing it. editing it, retyping it, sending it to Maggie. Maggie would go, "Oh no, you can't say it like that." And it's like, and she'd go, "Oh, let me type it." So she'd sit there, and I'd be stood there thinking, "Yeah, actually, that sounds really good," but no, it sounds all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, I get the email and I think, right, whack it in there, and I sort of say, "Okay, can you respond to this, but make sure they know this and that and that."
Yeah.
You don't even have to type
Yeah.
the spelling correctly. It comes back, and I look at it and I think, that is exactly what I wanted to say. They've said that it sounds pretty good and off. So what now takes me 3 or 4, 5 minutes to do would have taken me 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
Definitely.
And as much as I always used to think I don't want to get suckered into it, I've had to, obviously. And now I see the time it's given me back to be more creative.
Yep.
I kind of love it now.
Yeah. Same. We're
I'm using
exactly
it.
the same.
Yeah, and I'm using it for help with my planning.
Yep.
As you can probably guess, my head is all over the place most of the time.
I haven't noticed that at all.
Poor old Maggie. But yeah, my head is all over the place most of the time. I think of ideas, but to try and put that into some sort of order, or something that I can have a proper conversation with Maggie about, and say, look, this is what I'm thinking, blah 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 blah. I can have all that kind of conversation with poor old Marvin. That's what I've called my chat
Marvin's
GPT.
your PA.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it's ideal. And poor old Marvin sits there and has to listen, or me typing out as badly as I do, me questioning it, querying it, checking it, changing it, and then puts it in some sort of order. Then I can go to Maggie and say, look, this is what I'm thinking, and it actually makes sense. So for that, it's been brilliant. Where it's going to go, who knows?
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, if either of us are still here doing what we do now in, crikey, 5 years' time, I wouldn't say I'd be surprised, but I'd be thinking we are really
Lucky.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a slightly different view to that.
Okay.
Mainly because I think it's like a lot of these tools that have come along, like Canvas and all the like. I think if you're setting your stall out like to do branding work and all the top level stuff, strategy, consultancy, and all that side of things, yes, you're going to get a certain level of that with AI.
Yeah.
But I do think a lot of it comes down to people's time.
Yes.
If your role is, let's say, I mean, we find sometimes we're not dealing with a marketing person, we're dealing with somebody else within the business.
Yeah.
More often than not the marketing person, but sometimes other people.
Yeah.
It's those other people's roles that if, jumping on an AI system, coming up with ideas to even feed into the thing to start off with, that might take them hour, 2 hours or whatever to think about something. How am I going to do that? What do I need to tell it? Blah, blah, blah. Right, it's given me some output. What do I do with that now? Yeah. So it's that time. How much do you value your time and how much you're being paid to do a diversionary thing when you could actually use an agency or a freelancer or whatever to do that task for you? Yeah. And monetary wise, okay, I don't know what your hourly rate is, but we're generally
peanuts.
Around £80 an hour. Yeah. Right? So if you monetize that in terms of an employee's time and how much it actually costs the business, it's probably quite comparable. And you'll get a much better result by using an agency or a freelancer than you would doing it yourself. Just
when you said kind of the output, it's great. You can type all this stuff in there. It gives you a whole lot of stuff of what you should be doing. But if you don't know how to do it, it's pointless, because all it does, it just gives you a whole load of more ideas, and you're sitting there thinking, that was really clever, and I've got some great ideas, but I still don't know how to do them. So I suppose, that's the difference. You can then, we can take that information and go, right, okay, let's prioritize. That's a good idea. That's a bad idea. We've tried that before, X, Y, Z, and put it into some sort of product or a piece of design or marketing or whatever. So
touch wood. I'm hoping that we'll be around longer than 5 years, but who knows?
I'm. When I say I'm a bit worried, I'm just worried that the need or the want for decent quality craftsmanship kind of stuff will be of any interest to anyone. Yeah. Because as you know, social media, chip paper kind of stuff. It's just bam, bam, bam. My kids sitting on TikTok, like there's no the far less attention for that kind of stuff. They're ordering stuff online. They don't know where it comes from, and half of them don't really care where it comes from. They just think, oh, if I could get a mess on this, I'll just chuck it out, not thinking, oh my god, this cost me an absolute fortune. So it's that kind of level I'd probably be more concerned of, and because we're both old school in that respect, the attention to detail. I feel that, and me being very OCD as far as alignment and spacing and those kind of bits and pieces, that's what I worry will disappear.
Yeah.
But then I think to myself, hey ho, if it does, it does. And
design work will take less time.
Yeah, well, no, I'll just sit at home and just create my own posters of stuff, and I'll just think, well, I've got no client to moan at me. I can do exactly what I want, and I can produce something that I'm totally happy with, and no one's going to moan about it. So there's a silver lining.
Yes.
So,
lastly, final question: what advice or secrets would you share with other creative business owners, whether they're just starting out or already established, including the things you believe are essential to do and the pitfalls you'd warn them to avoid? So the do's and don'ts, really.
Well, luckily for you, we've covered most of them. I was just looking at my list. Shiny carrots.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
So I probably don't need to explain that anymore. But just if you see an idea or see something you think that might be fun or that might be good or interesting to do, properly look into it.
Yeah.
Check what realistically money's going to come out of it, how much time before you even make any money from this crazy idea. Have you got the main business can fund it while it's being developed or whatever like that, all those sort of bits and pieces. So shiny carrots would be one of the first ones. It's nice to have shiny carrots to look at, and it's a bit of variety, and keep you young, sort of thing. But shiny carrots. Learning, like I said, first 15 years of business. I'm sure I must have learned some things, but they were most likely about how to do some nicer typography or how to choose colours. They weren't business related things. And I think any person who has got their own agency needs to understand more than just their technical skills. They need to understand, proposals, sales, marketing, how to deal with staff leadership, dealing with conflict, all of that kind of stuff. So just continue learning, because you never know when you're sat in front of someone in a meeting. Had it so many times lately. They'll say something and you think, I've read something about that, an interesting fact or a different take on what they've just said. And you just sort of say, oh, but whatever it happens to be. I love it. It sounds a bit sad, but I love it when they look at you and they go, do you know what? That is a really good question. I never even thought of that. Wow. And you sit there and think, and they reveal something which then becomes a massive nugget of I don't, data or information or something that you can then attach onto it as part of maybe a logo design or marketing or whatever it happens to be. And it happens more often than don't. And it's usually something totally unrelated to your design. It's something completely out there. So
that's a good nugget, that.
So continuous learning.
Would you recommend, obviously you mentioned about books and audiobooks and things like that, business mentors?
We have had a couple in the past, and one was an action coach. Wasn't the cheapest of things, to be fair. But interestingly, I feel as if the way this is going to sound bad, I suppose, but the way we was sold to on the day when we eventually signed up.
Yeah.
I read a book a few months later called Spin Selling. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Nope.
And I sat there as I was reading that, I'm thinking, my God, I'm pretty sure this is what they used to get us. But it didn't feel like selling at all.
Yeah.
And it was just so clever. The whole kind of like, well, you know what sales are like, and there's the obvious, real kind of, oh my God, this guy is clearly selling to me.
Yeah.
But this guy, nice chap, helped us out a lot. But I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the way he got us along the path was kind of genius, really. So yes, that. But where I was going with it, the thing we learnt the most from that, and we worked with him for, I think it was 6 months.
Okay.
And some various stuff which was obviously useful, but the one thing which has changed, I would say, my approach to business was, I was going to sound stupid, cash flow.
Cash is king.
Yeah, which I've always known.
Yeah.
And it's not like we've never known what cash flow kind of was.
Number one rule of business, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, but we used to, or I used to know what was in the bank.
Yeah.
And we'd have our board with the clients and a rough estimate of what's left to come to be paid for them, and maybe a little bit of projection of what's in the future. So we had a cash flow table as such. But he gave us like a proper cash flow document with it properly, an Excel document with all the dates, week, all the weeks across the top, all of the information, and we'd input everything in there, and we're like everything, even down to tea bags.
Wow.
But when you put tea bags, a box of tea bags, however many you go through, I don't know, 5 or every 3 or 4 months, and you put that in, and then you put the other small little bits, and you put all those in, and then when you see it all tallying up.
Oh yeah.
I was looking at it thinking, Christ almighty, before you even start, we've got to earn, X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And because we was putting that on, obviously, in for the staff and expenses, again, we knew roughly what we was paying out. But when you see it down to almost like the penny, and all the small little bits you completely forget about, like subscriptions as well. Yeah. You might buy a Canva, for example, you might buy it 1 year, and then you don't have to pay it for another year.
Yeah.
That in itself, it might be enough just to tip you over the edge.
Yeah.
And when you see it coming, you think, hang on a minute, we've got this bill, we've got that bill, Jesus Christ, we've got that massive bill there, we've got this print one coming out there. If that print comes out before this one, and this money's not in before that one, at that point, you think you've got 10, 15 grand in the bank.
Yeah.
But if they're not in your bank, and this one comes out, all of a sudden, you're going to be...
Or a VAT bill.
Yeah, exactly, VAT bill. And that's probably about the time when we started registering for VAT. So so that was a massive eye-opener for us.
Yeah.
And I would say, out of all the things, cash flow has to be up the top. And and I'm talking a proper cash flow form. And as sad as it sounds, every Tuesday morning, one of my first things I do is I go through the cash flow, pull the financial boards in, all the stuff that's gone in, invoiced out, ready to check, through Zero for the bank accounts. And I actually love looking at it. It's scary at times when I update the figures and I look at it and think, okay, she got it.
We're a rare breed. There's not many creators that do look at the numbers. Actually.
Yeah. It's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
But why on earth I never did that back in the day, I don't know.
That's one of the lessons I learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, look very closely at the numbers and don't be reliant on other people to look at it for you.
No. Yeah, Maggie's not a massive fan of the cash flow. And I jokingly sort of say, have you checked the cash flow lately? And she goes...
We've got tea bags, it's all good.
Yeah, and I sort of say, you should really look at that. But to be fair, I let her know. And I keep her up to date with cash flow and all that sort of stuff. And I sort of say, look, just to be aware, if we don't get this, and this, So it's so cash flow, shiny carrots, make sure you're learning, and being visible. Like I said, marketing, I think is one of the killer elements of why things went kind of wrong. Is we were just not out there enough. Not enough marketing, not enough networking, not enough online presence. Things like this, sort of said about earlier, you're not sure whether it's financially viable thing to do, but
it does give us a presence for sure.
Oh, huge, yeah. And when you think of what, it's not just the podcast itself, it's how it can be chopped down into little bits for social media, how it can a graphic in itself. It's just all about just your name has to be in people's minds all the time. Because I said to Maggie the other day, what frustrates me a lot is when you look on LinkedIn and you see quite often the same people posting something out there. And you look at it and you think, oh, there they are again. And I get wound up by seeing them, and then I think to myself, why I should be putting this out. I should put little examples of my videos. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. So you got to kick yourself up your own arse sometimes and force yourself to do this kind of stuff. Because if you don't, someone else guaranteed is sat out there looking for a design agency, looking for someone to help with the marketing, and guess who's going to get the work? Matey, who's nowhere near the same experience or skill or talent or whatever like that. They're just in their minds. So and that's it. And then finally, just have fun. In the I mean, obviously I've been doing this for a long time, but in the 20 years of Frank Mann, or just under 20 years, and the near 1 year of DuoDot, I can honestly say I look back over that period of time and all the highs and the lows, but they have, I believe, of what shaped me to be the way I am now, and a lot more confident, a lot more determined, all those kind of bits and pieces. Little dog down there, and
don't come into the room.
But yeah, at the end of the day, I don't look back at that and think, oh my god, what a waste of my life, and oh that was horrible, and oh, it was really crap. Yes, there's some bad times, of course there are, but in general, I've enjoyed my time. There's some crazy moments where I look back, some client meetings you've had, some laughs you've had in the office, some stupid things that happened, clients that come in, and you genuinely sit there thinking, is this like one of those Ant and Dec kind of surprise things? Are they going to reveal themselves? The camera's going to come out the wall and stuff like that, because I think this cannot be real. So all of that sort of stuff. But I think in general, you've got to have fun and learn from your mistakes overall.
Well, Mark, it's been brilliant.
I've enjoyed it.
There's some great insights in that, and hopefully there's some nuggets for all of you out there. Because I mean, Mark is he's been around for 20 odd years.
Too long.
20 odd years, and he's learnt a lot. So hopefully you guys can definitely learn something from his experience.
I hope so. if you don't learn from these experiences, then more for you. But
thanks, Mark.
But no, appreciate that, Paul. Thank you.
Cheers.